These are the Great Ouse Washes, a vast but distinctive landscape that provides an oasis for some of the UK's most treasured wildlife. Wetlands across the UK are disappearing faster than any other habitat, but in the Ouse they are flourishing. From intimate glimpses into the lives of some of our rarest species, to the huge flocks of migratory birds that arrive here each winter, this is an area that provides some of the country's wildest encounters. Its unique location in the midst of the most productive farmland in the country means this really is a one-of-a-kind habitat. And it is this combination that draws some of our most characterful winter visitors, the swans. While mute swans can be found in the area all year round, the autumn brings the sights and sounds of the Whooper and the Bewick Swans to Welney.
So the easiest way to tell the difference between the three species of swan that we get here at Welney, we've got the mute swan, which has got a bright orange bill, a lovely black lump on the front of their faces, which we call a caruncle. They're our biggest swan, they're resident and they live here all year round. Normally don't move more than about 15 kilometres from where they were born or hatched. We've got our Whooper swans, they've got yellow and black bills. But so do the Bewick swans as well. Now there's a size difference between those two. The Bewick swans are about a third smaller than the Whooper swans, but also the amount of yellow is slightly different. On the Whooper swans, it's like a wedge of yellow, a bit like a wedge of cheese, and the Bewicks have a very small blob of yellow just at the tip near their face.
The arrival of Bewicks and Whoopers each autumn has earned them a celebrity status locally.
You can come into the main lagoon and see these birds in their hundreds fly out onto the surrounding fields where they'll spend most of the day, and then they'll be out there feeding on harvest waste, things that are left lying around on the field, sort of old potatoes and sugar beet tops and things like that. So there's lots of food for them out there. And they'll feed up all day, and then in the evening they'll fly back in again to this lagoon to spend the night. And the reason they're doing that is they feel safe from predators. And then at dawn again the next day, process begins again and out they go again in their hundreds. So it's really worth making the effort to come down and see this amazing winter spectacle at Welney.
They may both spend their winters on the Ouse Washes, but the Bewick's journey from the Russian high Arctic is very different to the Whoopers from Iceland.
WWT has been doing ground and aerial surveys of swans in Iceland for decades, developing a good understanding of many aspects of their lives by identifying individuals by their Darvik rings on their legs.
So we're currently at Gardsvatn in Skagafjordur, which is one of our main study sites, and just behind me is a family that are well known to WWT. It's a bird named Doon and its partner Balfron, and they're renowned for bringing lots of cygnets back to the UK.
Through researchers, volunteers and members of the public recording sightings of these Darvik rings have enabled us to follow the fortunes of these amazing birds. It's amazing to think that this bird was just still in its egg 1 month ago, and at 3.5 months old it will start that epic long migration across the Atlantic to come and winter with us in the British Isles. Can you imagine a 3.5-month-old human being trying to cross the Atlantic at that age?
These swans face huge challenges on their journey. The Whoopers, coming from Iceland, make the longest overseas journey of any swan species.
So we've just pulled up at Lone, which is in southeast Iceland, and this massive lake is internationally important for the Whooper swan. It's a staging site, and families and lots of non-breeders come here to feed. They oversummer here, they'll roost here, and it's a big congregating place for autumn migration. So the birds will come here, and then just behind me here is the Atlantic Ocean, and there's nothing between Lorne and Scotland.
The Bewick's journey from the Russian high Arctic is no less fraught with danger. They must travel over 2,500 miles, passing through at least 10 countries along the way. But eventually they arrive to safety, their overwintering grounds on the Ouse Washes. It's surprisingly easy to tell these swans apart once you get to know them. They each have their own unique bill patterns.
I was 13 My father had just started realising that you could tell the difference between the different individuals, and he started an identification book, and the first page is a beautiful original with him having drawn and painted all the faces and the whole heads of the birds. And they would be given names, partly sometimes to remind you of the pattern. So Two Spot had two spots, and Jaggy had a very jagged side pattern. We knew they came from Russia, but we didn't know exactly where they came from, and we didn't know at that stage very much about the routes they took.
With advances in technology, we are now able to accurately track the migration routes of both the Bewicks and the Whoopers from the Ouse Washes all the way back to their summer grounds.
We're doing a study at the moment, popping GPS collars on these swans. We do that in the field where they're out feeding, and we install cannon nets. We fire the net over the birds, we then extract them from the net and pop them into swan jackets. That's really important to keep them nice and safe. Take them back to shelter, do lots of measurements to make sure they're in tip-top condition, and then we fit the GPS collars. We found out so much information from these GPS collars, how they're using the landscape, where they're feeding, where they're roosting, and the most important thing is when they're going out to sea and how they're migrating across the North Sea.
A couple of weeks ago I took part in the International Swan Census. This is where volunteers from across Europe go out to the local wetlands or wherever they think the swans might be and count how many swans there are. All this information is then sent down to the Species Monitoring Department, where all the data can be analysed to see how well the swans have bred in the year.
They truly are a bird that knows no borders. And you can get involved in conserving these birds to ensure a future for our winter arrivals by visiting the observatories at WWT Welney and our other centres. You can enter ring numbers for individual swans into our interpretation panel. This will let you know all about the swan, from where it's come from to how long it's been on the database, and your sighting will provide a valuable record of that particular bird as well. If we work together, we can preserve these species that have become seasonal symbols of the Great Ouse Wetlands for generations to come.